Well, I'm on the farm today and thought I'd do a hay update here for November 2025. Still got a little bit of fall color left, but not much. So one of the things we've done since the last hay update video is based on soil samples. We put down lime on all our fields below the road. I didn't put any up on the hill. And for us it was a lot, and some of these fields got 2 tons to the acre of lime, and I might have a video on that. I may or may not, but the total amount of lime that we put down here below the road, as I say, on the fields over here and over around my barn and the east field, 50 tons of lime. So hoping to get the pH elevated, and looking forward to the benefits of that going forward, especially into next year. It's been really dry here. Only recently have we gotten a couple of rains, but the creek shows the lack of rain. So right here is a little different look at the creek from what I normally do, but you know, you can see rocks, and then way up there, rocks where it's usually underwater, and you know, the creek will kind of get up in here when it's full here along the bank. So it's still, even with the recent rains we've had, it's still right low. And I mean, when the water starts raging, when we have, you know, big rains and the creek's full, it'll be up in here. It would flood up in here and down and back over that way. So it's looking better. The creek's looking better than it was, but it's still pretty low. So being out here in the mountains, you know, we just have trees everywhere, as you can see, and we're always blessed with the trees that fall in the field. And the ash borer has taken out all of the ash trees on this farm, and they're slowly coming down, and then the other trees fall into the fields and on the edge of the fields. And I burn a fair amount of firewood, and now that I'm retired, I intend to burn even more, just because I want to. And but I'll have some, I'll probably have a goodly number of chainsaw videos. As you've been with the channel any length of time, you've probably noticed that one of my hobbies is small engines, old garden tractors, and chainsaws and things like that. I just enjoy tinkering with that stuff and using it. And here's a tree that's down. We've cut up some of it, and just to kind of get it out of the way. But as we lurch into late fall and winter, I'll be up here working around these fields, and might be trimming some of these limbs back, especially up in that part of this field and a few other places. So speaking of chainsaws, and I'm up here on the tip of this field around my barn, and when I put this gate in, I used to have customers come in through this gate a lot, and they would drive straight across to the barn, which at the time was fine, but I don't want that anymore. I want them to drive around the perimeter of the field, and not, I just don't want them driving across my hay field. But years ago, when I put this gate in, I made it so the way I hinged it on the side up here, so this half of the gate could swing open that way. And I hinged the gate on this side right there so that this gate could swing open and go all the way around 180 degrees. And what that would do is let the customer, you walk around on this side of the gate. So it's hard to make a turn into this gate, and so what this does is allows them to come through here, and that tree right there's got to come out. All right, let me do a take two here. I had a neighbor that walked up in the middle of the video, and so I had to stop. But basically, when you come in, you turn off the main road and you come in. It's kind of hard to make a turn this way. And when I put this gate in, I made it wide enough that when I opened it this way, and when it would swing all the way around that way, there would be a nice opening from a diagonal going through those gates, and that requires that gate to swing 180 degrees and this one just to swing 90 degrees open. And don't knock my unlevel gates. The wind blows so hard through here that if you don't let the gates ride against the ground, they just tear all to pieces. So I got to clear out all of this stuff in here, and this tree right here, and there's a couple other little ones down in there, and so that this gate can swing. So that's something I'll be working on. So what you see out here around this barn is the residue from the teff grass that I planted last summer. And it's an annual, and it's an Ethiopian grass, and it does not withstand cold temperatures at all. So we have not had what I would regard as a killing frost where it gets down to 25 or 26 degrees, but we've had multiple frosts where it's like, 30, 32 degrees, 30 degrees, maybe 29. I don't think it's got much colder than that, but that's all it's taken to just put the kibosh on this teff grass. And to look at it, you'd think I'd sprayed it with Roundup, but I haven't. So as I've said before in some of my videos, this farm is in some ways kind of like the Middle East, and with sometimes we control the whole place, and sometimes the equivalent of Al-Qaeda owns some of this farm. And what I'm talking about is bees, yellow jackets, wasps, and the like. And they moved into this barn and took control of part of it over the summer. And so I've got areas in here on the sides where down in this hay, I don't know that they're moving around right now, but when I talk about the frost killing the teff grass, I'm also anxious for the cold temperatures to wipe out the bees. And there's that hay right there's full of bees. So once I get the bees eradicated by Mother Nature, I'll be clearing out these corners of the barn all the way around, and then I want to get more equipment parked in here for the winter. So I've got some lumber laying over here, and some lumber laying here, and some old wagon lumber laying there, and I got a running gear sitting over there, and I got several running gear. One of them's over there. I got several pieces of running gear laying around this barn in the weeds, but I've already started on another kicker rack right here on this running gear, and I don't know, I got to get that thing straightened out. But I'll be pulling this into the barn and putting a deck on it, and then the sides over the winter. So it's a high priority to I'd like to get up to 9 or 10 kicker racks. That's what my goal is. So right there's some of the round bales I got out of the field, and then there's others scattered around. You've probably seen in some other videos. And I meant to mention that again, I kind of started before the neighbor kind of interrupted, but when they come through that gate over there, as I mentioned, they'll come straight across this field. And what I want them to do is start going around the perimeter. And I'm going to maintain at least a 12-foot perimeter around this field, just with my 12-foot bat wing. And, you know, the goal is not having them trample my hay field. And this, against everybody's advice, next spring, this is going to go into Timothy. I've got to work it down, smooth it out some more. And I'm open to ideas in the comments about smoothing out a field like this, because it's just lumpy enough that it makes for kind of a bumpy ride coming out through here. So your sprayer booms are kind of bouncing a little bit, your fertilizer spreader. And but I'm going to be disking it down and probably pulling a heavy drag of some sort. But what I want to do is I want to take up there at that gate and create a barrier like that with a row of round bales coming down parallel with that tree line, so that the customer has no choice but to come in and make a turn down this way. Now, whether or not they'll get past the round bales, whether or not they get past the round bales and then make a hard right turn across my field, I don't know, but I need to convey to them to go around the perimeter of the field or else. So back here on the hill, the big thing that's been going on, we've been spending a goodly amount of time mowing the autumn olives. I had a video of my John Deere and my 12-foot batwing bushwhacker in here mowing this little stretch. But we'll go on up on top and I'll show you what we've done. So up here on this high ground, we mowed. I didn't get a video of it. Maybe I'll walk over here and maybe get a glimpse of it. But you can see where we mowed over to the side and up. And there's still a patch right there that needs to be mowed. And some places we're not going down over the side as far as we used to, because the slope is just too much. You know, if we're going to have hay equipment on it. And then I'm talking side to side slope, but also just going up and down. Want to be, you know, careful not to get pushed off the hill, especially with that 12-foot batwing. I'd like to put all this in hay one of these days. I don't know when or if that'll happen, but I certainly feel like we can get it in grass and just keep it trimmed down. The hardest part of being a hay farmer is finding somebody to buy your hay. And so I've got, with my field around my barn, white barn with the green roof, coming online this past year, I've got about as much hay that as I want to chew on right now. But the biggest thing up here, we cut these autumn olives high, you know, like 12 inches, as you can see here. And the idea is that, you know, if you hit it with your tire, it'll bend over instead of going right up into the end of the tire like a short stop. But I kind of question that strategy because, as evidenced by the flat tires that we get anyway, and I know there's thorns on the autumn olives, but I got to figure out a way to take this kind of stuff all the way to the ground and do it in such a way that we're not exposing the ground and the dirt to the elements. It's like, I don't know that I want to disc it, or I've thought about maybe having a forestry mulcher come in, and I may do that and have them just take it down about that far and just grind all this crap up. But what I don't want is to get in a situation where we introduce some erosion in here. So I got some pondering to do on that, and but we may very well get somebody with like a forestry mulcher. I've thought about taking, I've got a Gravely 2-wheel drive tractor, and I've thought about, this would take forever, but what else have I got to do in retirement, right? But taking a Gravely 2-wheel drive tractor and setting the blade right down on the ground and chopping this stuff up, that would work. But it would still leave a little bit of a stub, but on the other hand, it wouldn't dig into the dirt and give us potential for erosion. Now, when I was a boy, everything that you see in here except the hardwoods around was grass like this, except it was about that tall because we had cattle on it. And over time it grew up, and it's probably been 10 years ago, 11, 12 years ago, we had it clear cut. We had everything. This thing was full of pines, and we had it clear cut. And that's why all this residue is in here, and these autumn olives have moved in. But when they did the clear cut, they, right up in this area and back over there, I'll show you here in just a minute, they made a big pile of stumps and different things, and one of them, it sits right in here, and it creates a barrier between this field and this one. And so you can see some dirt and stumps and stuff piled up in here. It's not a good situation, but we're pondering getting somebody in here with a bulldozer, a loader of some sort, and taking that, it's a berm that goes down through there, and it doesn't go down to the woods, the hardwoods, but it goes a good way, and taking that and pushing it down into that corner. So the idea is you can come down through here, go straight across and right over into this field. And that would be a glorious thing, whether you're just mowing it to keep it in grass or you're making hay on it. And one thing I think about is this has got to be grass. We got to be able to run over it, 2 or 3 times a year with the bush hog, and to keep it maintained. But also, a lot of people talk about stockpile fescue and turning their cattle out into it instead of feeding round bales, out in November and maybe part of December. But I think of it as potential stockpile hay. And in years that we have a drought, if I don't need the full yield of hay up in here, then maybe there'll be some years where there's a drought and I need it. And if I just keep it maintained, then I could go in there and basically take what amounts to a second cut hay as my inventory sells down. So we want to get this berm pushed out, and there's another one over there. I'll walk over there to it. So right in here is the other pile that they made, and I don't know why they pushed it up right here and they didn't get it over in the woods and out of the way, but so I find myself making hay and coming down and having to come up and around this, and I want this gone. I'd like to have it gone because as I walk around here, Still a lot of residue in here where we cut these autumn olives, but you can see that the hayfield potential coming off of where I'm already cutting down in there and out and around, and I'll walk around to the back side of this. Hang on one second. So as I come around here to the back side of this, you can see that pile of trash in there just kind of gets in the way of making a nice continuous hayfield. And you can see here what I'm walking through. I mean, these sticks, if you're not watching what you're doing, you could like jam one of those suckers into your thigh, into your leg muscle here, and have an opportunity to go to the emergency room and have some stitches. But when I get around here though, you can kind of see how from here and down in here there's potential for a continuous hayfield all the way up to those woods. And if we can get this out of here, and that other row of debris that I showed earlier that goes this way, just coming out and going up and coming down, this would be a really nice hayfield. Worst case, it would just be a really nice grass field to maintain, whether we ultimately made hay on it or not. So so let me come back here in just a second. All right, so I made my way over a little further over this way from that berm. I don't know if you can see on the top of that ridge right there, we've mowed down. The top of that would make a nice hayfield. To get in there, we'd have to do some work on the roads. But right in here, you can see where I came up from the bottom to get up here to this high ground. What I would really like to do is just mechanically control this with my 12-foot batwing, and use herbicides going forward, so that when we're mowing stuff that's knee high, not as high as the hood of the tractor or the roll bar sometimes. And we just need to get in here probably 2 or 3 times a year, and mowing with a 5-foot bush hog and a 6-foot bush hog, and then of course you have overlaps, so the 5's really a 4 and the 6 is maybe a 5. It just takes forever. And so historically, my brother's kind of taking care of the autumn olives. I started to pitch in kind of in a heavy way the last couple of years, and then with my 12-foot batwing, I mean, I'm not so sure I couldn't do this whole area on the hill in one day. And the goal would be to put that thing on my International and come up here with the AC on and the cab, and regardless of how hot it gets in the summer or how cold it gets in the winter, to be able to come up here and mow this stuff down. So I'm going to stop right here with the hay update. My battery's low on my camera. I'm about to run out. So that's just a little bit of what's going on here for a hay update in November 2025. We'll talk to you later.